Let's get going. Welcome everyone to SEO Office Hours. My name is Michael Chidzey. I'm an SEO here at Good Signals. And part of what we do, along with special guests, are these office hours sessions where people can jump in and ask their questions around their website and web search. By the way, nobody here is in the hot seat and we might not know all the answers, but multiple heads thinking about a problem should help. We have a bunch of questions submitted already, as you can see, but if there's anybody here live on the call that would like to ask any questions, feel free to flag yourself in the chat functionality, which will be monitored. And we always have quite a few SEOs on the call, so feel free to share your perspectives. I think that's one of the best things about SEO Office Hours is not just us talking, but all the other perspectives that are shared in the chat, which Joe will summarize as we go. Every week with me today is Joe Juliana Turnbull, also known as SEO Joe Blogs. Morning, Joe.
Hello, good morning. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We have a few more people that have joined. Mary, Livio, John. I think we've got quite a few people international office hours today. So I think we've got Delhi, India, we've got Nigeria, we have London, I think Switzerland, and a few other places. Just write them in the chat. Yeah, I'm back after a week out, thanks to my twin sister Ruth for being the co-host last week. I run a digital moat consultancy business called Turnbull. We help clients with their marketing and those who want to expand their audience into different markets. We help them to go global. We're remote, but we have an office here in Barcelona and in Brisbane. And I also run two search events, Search London and Search Barcelona. And our next in-person event is actually on June 17th. We've going to be having that in London, and we've nearly sold out of tickets. So for those that are near London, if you'd like to come, there is a special discount code and I'll share that later. So today I'm really excited that we have two great special guests. We are all actually entrepreneurs on this chat today. We have Rosemary and Natalie. Rosemary is a freelance technical SEO specialist based in Nigeria. She helps businesses implement SEO strategies that drive conversions and, above all, improve website performance. Rosemary does this by working from a holistic perspective. Most recently, actually, she attended Search African, organized by Barry Jonathan in Lagos and Nigeria. And she's also an active member of the FCDC and Women in Tech SEO community. I will share the LinkedIn link of Rosemary. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
And thank you. We'd like to welcome back Natalie. She joined us at the beginning of SEO Office Hours and very pleased that she has come back to be our special guest today. She's a freelance SEO consultant who's worked in digital marketing for over 15 years, working on both the agency side and in-house. She's also appeared on as a guest on many SEO podcasts and webinars, and she is an active member of Women in Tech SEO. She's an avid speaker in our SEO community, and she's been a lineup for and spoken at BrightonSEO and ReadingSEO. And I will share Natalie's LinkedIn connections, LinkedIn URL here. Thank you very much, Natalie, for joining us again.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me again.
And we've had a few more people joined us as well here. Simon, Dawson, and Mohammed. Big thank you. I think we've got quite a big SEO office hours. And for those that are joining us watching the recording, thank you for joining us post live. But if you would like to join us live, I will share a link in the chat so you can actually get Mike's invitation and you can be part of the chat that we have every Friday. So I look forward to today's SEO office hours, and I'll pass back to Mike.
Great. You said Mike's invitation like it's a special. I just add anybody that registers, basically.
It is a special invitation, and everyone can get their answers.
Special.
Yeah, and everyone can get their answered live. And also, if you're enjoying the show and you want to actually be a guest, a special guest, please do sign up on that link. I'm just sending it here. And those that are watching it afterwards, please click and also subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Great. Okay, let's crack on. So question number one, can it be harmful for the domain that sets canonicals to another domain? Our company A offers blinds produced by another company B. Company B lets us use its content, pictures, etc. for our product pages. To avoid duplicate content, the canonicals for these pages have been set to the original page on company B. Can this be harmful to our domain? Who would like to kick off? Joe, what about you? Go for it.
Oh, how did I know you're going to ask me? I'm just writing the question here so that everyone can see it. So basically, I think that it would be, this one is a bit difficult. I haven't done a lot with canonicals in this sort of situation, to be honest. I think it's, if someone's actually offering blinds, when I'd ask the question, are you selling those blinds? If you're selling the blinds and you want to be known for that company, then I'm confused as to then why would you actually be canonically to the other company? I think if someone is producing the blinds and someone is selling it, I think the person that's selling it should actually have the right to promote and market and be the actual domain. Maybe it says to avoid duplicate content, but I think you should just have individual unique content and actually choose what page do you want to, what site do you actually want to have ranking for these domains, for these blinds.
Great. Natalie, you were nodding along there. Have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I would say the same. It can be tricky, obviously, if they're a very small company and they don't have time and the allocated resources to create their own content, then sometimes it can be quicker to copy and paste or to use things that are provided by others. However, it's not really your content. It doesn't really sell your brand either. And there's by creating your own content, not only are you going to be able to put your own twist on things, but you're also going to be able to cross-sell other products. So it might be that you're selling other brands as well. You don't say, for example, that you solely resell a certain brand. So my assumption is that you might be selling a range of other brands. And again, if you are, then it's making sure that all of your content is unique, that you put your own twist on things, and that you sell the benefits. Not every brand is going to be perfect. So there might be even ways that you can improve on the content that they've created anyway. And yeah, I would say rather than do that, of course, you can potentially use their images and reference them, but I would say create your own content, and creating your own content is above all is the best thing to do.
Great. And Rosemary, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would just say, in addition to creating your own unique content, I'll say also add reviews, unique reviews and testimonials from people who have used this product. At least that sets you apart. So that's what I'll add to it.
I don't like the part of the question is basically, will it be harmful to their domain? And I guess if they're just using like for like content, then they're doing the right thing. If they've not added anything unique, they're giving full credit to the original source. But like everybody else, I would suggest creating your own version. So whether it's, most brands have a different tone of voice, their customers often can be quite different in terms of the information that they're looking at. I've worked in-house before where we used to be like the middle company or the third party. And so what we would do would be to go and test those products and take our own photos and stress test them in different ways that would be different. And if, for example, any of your customers actually use the blinds and they put them up in their houses, taking photos of that, of them in different places and what they look like would be really useful. So encouraging them to send in content of those particular products. Joe, do we have anything in the chat?
We do. Funny you should ask there, Mike. Yes. So Simon was quite quick in there. Thank you, Simon. But you are duplicating the other company's products content. You will not rank as well as them, probably. So write your own content and do your own photos for those products. What we've been saying here. And Mohammed was talking about you can take the ideas from company B, like their content-wise, but duplicating content is not going to work in the long term. John says, I wonder if it makes sense to at least keep the same title and basic details in the Merchant Center feed so that you can leverage a shopping graph for the primary product, assuming it's not a customized product. It's quite a good one as well. So interesting. Good chat.
Great. Let's move on to the next question. Natalie, I'm going to start with you with this one, because yesterday one thing that we do is we just read out the questions before the day before, but we don't answer them when we meet up. And when I read this one out, Natalie's face said it all. So I think you should definitely start. So is there a good time to complete a website migration? Our thinking is late Thursday or Friday afternoon, as these are quiet traffic times for us. Natalie, what do you think?
I'm making the assumption that your working week starts on a Monday rather than starting on a Sunday, just to caveat that. but I would not recommend start doing undertaking a website migration on a Thursday towards the end of the week, because number one, you've got the weekend ahead of you. There's going to be issues. There are always issues. No matter how perfect you get your website migration, there will always be things that you will need to do. You're putting a lot of pressure on developers and SEOs to get this work done by the end of the week, when we've got lots of other things to do. But also, if something goes wrong, then you've got until the day that you're back in at work to get those things fixed, or you're relying on the team that will fix those things to work over the weekend, which obviously there's a whole, it's like a kind of an onion. You're peeling back so many layers. So I would always recommend as early as possible in the week. Obviously they are higher traffic times for you, but if your website falls off the end of a cliff on the Friday afternoon, say, you're not going to be able to recover it until early next week, earlier in the next week, when there might be higher traffic times anyway. And if your website doesn't work, you're not going to be getting the traffic anyway. So I would recommend getting that done not as early as possible, but I wouldn't recommend Thursday or Friday. Be kind to your dev team, be kind to your SEOs, and yeah, don't put yourself in a really kind of stressful situation. Obviously, website migrations are stressful and can be very stressful, and we want to make it as easy as possible.
Great. Rosemary, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say you should also factor in time zones in this case too. So say, for example, if your business cuts across different countries, irrespective of Thursday, Friday, that's timing. What's the timing, Thursday or Friday, if you're talking about downtime? You understand what I mean? So you should check Google Analytics, for example, to check if the bulk of your audience, where they are coming from, at what time they are very active and when they are not active. So, and plan towards that. And as well, as Natalie said, work with your dev team. Is it convenient? Is the timing convenient as well for your team members to jump in case anything goes wrong? So I'll add time zone to that. And of course, I'll add seasonality to it. Okay, this time you're considering, is there an event coming soon as well? If there is a seasonality period around that period, I'll say, okay, no, that's not, irrespective of the fact that you have a down traffic at that time, I'll say don't do that. So after the event period, that's what I'll do.
Great. Joe, do you have anything to add?
We do actually. Simon's right in there again. Thanks, Simon. He said when he worked at a corporate, in the corporate world, in another life, we always did big releases on a weekend, but the staff were paid to do it. And that included all sorts of systems and IT support teams. So not cheap. The advantage is, obviously, there were no distractions, obviously, at the weekend. But for everyone else that doesn't have that massive budget, Natalie has it bang on.
Great. I guess I'd say this is something that I've done lots of migrations, and this is sort of one of those assumptions that you should just do it at the end of the working day and really late when no one else is around. Usually I suggest the opposite, trying to do it when people are around, because particularly if you require any kind of technical expertise that maybe you don't have. And so what I would say is it depends on the size of the website, how technical you are, and how much you rely on other parties. If it's just you doing it and it's a small website and you're the person that's going to be rolling things back or fighting any fires, then I guess just do it when you've got that availability afterwards. But in most cases, if it's a large website, I would also not assume everything's going to go perfectly well. And we always do a thing here where for bigger migrations, sorry, I've just seen in the chat, somebody said, come on, figure out what goes wrong. We always do something here called a pre-mortem. So whenever we're doing big projects, we assume that the project failed and we try and work out all the reasons it might fail. And when it comes to a migration, the biggest thing is if it goes wrong technically, are the right people going to be available? So on top of whether it's a Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, also just making sure your key people aren't on holiday those days and are available. But yeah, my preference would just be to make sure I've got time and the right people around me once we do go live. And that also means not just from an SEO point of view, but even people in the ads team, for example, just making sure all of that's working as it should be, and anyone else that's where the website's really important. Great. Anything else, Joe?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I did quite like that comment on it. Nothing ever goes wrong when you plan your things properly. Just flip it on a Friday evening, go fishing with buddies. Yeah, that's quite a good one. But what I would say is that I think you mentioned a little bit of it, Mike, is really that this website migration, the website is everyone's responsibility. Obviously, within SEO, it's a lot more on the SEO team and a lot more obviously on the dev team too. But I would say have this website migration that's actually a KPI, a key performance indicator for many people in the business. This is also, if you're also working in sales, it is important for the sales team too. It's also important for customer service team. So it doesn't have to just always fall on SEO. So therefore, when we're doing site migrations, it's really important that I would say we have the plan of the site migration, and we may have certain elements that we want those people just to be aware of. For example, the sales team. Okay, is the contact details still up to date, or is that working? The same with customer service. But I would just make sure that we make it everyone's business, so that it's not this little thing that's done, hidden away just on the weekend, and everyone comes back and, whoa, everything's fine. But if everything's not fine, then the finger gets pointed at SEO. Make it as part of everyone's job. You don't have to make it part of their massive job, but have a little piece of their day about the migration.
Still like the flip it on a Friday, go fishing with buddies. Don't do that. Okay, next question. Are there any SEO podcasts that you recommend? Oh, we've never had that before. That's cool. Rosemary, what are you listening to?
Oh, Authority Hackers. I love Authority Hackers. I love Search with Candor. And of course, the third one I like was not really a podcast in quotes. It's the SEO Office Hours. I enjoyed watching it on YouTube. I binge watch it on YouTube. Yeah. So Authority Hackers, Search with Candor, and of course, SEO Office Hours.
Natalie, what about you? What do you listen to?
I'm another big fan of Search with Candor. No, I'm happy that it's back and I've been on it. But the Internet Marketing Podcast, that's great. It's more kind of about general digital marketing alongside SEO. Edge of the Web is another good one. And I also like the Wix the Wix podcast as well. So SERPs Up. Those are some really good ones. And then aside that's related to SEO, but not 100%, is a podcast called Tech Won't Save Us. Fantastic podcast, more about wider tech, but it's really interesting. They do talk about SEO and Google, and some of their guests need to learn a bit more about SEO and they should get some proper SEOs on there to talk to them about things. But that's another good kind of more general what's going on in tech and the internet alongside SEO.
Great. Joe, what are you listening to?
Yeah, I was just actually Googling what Natalie and Rosemary are saying. So I listen a lot to the SEO Mindset. They also have a live version at Brighton SEO. It was really good. I went to the one in April. And also last year we had Women in Tech SEO. They had a series of podcasts and they had very interesting interviews and topics. So I really like those two. And of course, where we are now, the SEO office hours.
Great. I really like that. They're not really podcasts, but I tend to listen to all webinars and podcasts when I'm walking the dogs and events. So I treat everything as podcasts. But I really like all the Moz interviews that Chima's been doing recently. They're really good. And there's some really good webinars there. Search Off the Record, I'm a big fan of that. That's really good. All the others everyone's mentioned. I love the Wix one, SERPs Up. That's a great one. And the SEO Mindset one. Yeah, there's just so many to choose from, aren't there? But I'd say we've covered all the great ones.
Yeah, I would say,
Micah.
yeah, I would also like to say, sorry, I didn't mention also some of the ones like the Wix. There is quite a few different ones. It's quite hard to choose. I was really happy that we were invited on the Search Off the Record pod, and that went live last month. So really pleased about that. And I've listened to a few of their podcasts, and they always have a lot of interesting things to say, and they have some good guests as well.
Yeah, Hrefs, their podcast is really good as well. They do quite thorough interviews. And then a bit like Natalie, I listen to lots of other podcasts outside of our industry, just around marketing in general. But in terms of SEO ones, I think we've covered all the best ones. I'm going to kick myself as soon as we finish that there'll be one.
We can still add more. But when you were talking about Chima's one, she was doing a lot of webinar series about AI, but then she also does the Moz pause. So that was very good.
That was great.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Next question. In the recent March update, my site's traffic dropped significantly. Previously, it was receiving over 3,000 to 5,000 clicks, but after the update, it declined abruptly. How do you recover from a Google penalty? And I've been given the URL, so I often chase people once they've asked us questions just for more context. I don't know if we've got permission to share on YouTube, so we're going to avoid saying the URL, but I'm going to share it in the chat. So if anybody wants to have a look, feel free to. I didn't get this until very, very last minute, so I appreciate none of our panel has probably had a chance to look because it was literally about 5 minutes before the call. But has anybody had a chance to have a quick look at the website? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think we just briefly mentioned this earlier, and I think really what's really important is that we have EAT, we can show who the people are behind. So for any website, it's really important to have the About Us page showing actually a team and the face behind the brand. It's really important to build out the pages as well. So make sure that we have as much content as relevant for that particular product, or even if it's about us, make it quite. I think you could always analyze the particular blog posts that are no longer doing well. You could also look at GSC, Google Search Console, and see what are the pages or what are the pages that you're not ranking for and the key terms, and then look back at those blog posts. Why are they not ranking as well as before? Is it because maybe you don't have as much content? What about your interlinking? But just if that's not working, if you can't find the answer, go back to us in the recent March update, find out and see what type of sites that they saw the drop, and see if you can work out for the pattern for it. But really, I'd suggest make sure that you have a face behind the brand. The people that are writing the content, they have an author profile as well, that they're well known in the industry for that particular industry. And perhaps it's a good time to revamp some of your content, especially for your blog posts.
Great. Rosemary, do you have any thoughts? Did you have a chance to have a look, or just have some tips in general for somebody looking to say, for instance, they've lost some traffic from an update?
Yeah, so in addition to everything Joe said, I would just add that it just be unique. I'll add uniqueness, perspective, crafting your content. If I can say that it's a review site, if you're analyzing a particular software in quotes, analyze it very well. The features explicitly say it. Your content, when you're talking about the content now, instead of focusing on keywords, do the topic cluster approach. Try to cover being in depth as possible with all your content. Try to be helpful, and of course, a face behind the content. Let there be a personality behind. Let people see, oh, this is not just a random site. This has somebody backing it. So that's what I'd say.
What about you, Natalie? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I've got quite a few actually.
Oh, cool. Go for it.
So I had a look at the site. They weren't just hit by March, but they were also hit by, it seems, last August as well. And obviously, last August we had quite a succession of updates over a number of different weeks. I've obviously looked at the content. The content does need improvement. I've also had a look. There are quoted and supposedly linked to authors on the site. However, those author pages redirect to the homepage. Also, I see that what they've done is they've used a previous domain and built links to it and then redirected it to that place. So they've basically used like a legacy domain and obviously bought it in order to acquire the backlink profile of this previous website. So that can potentially have an impact, especially if that website has been seen as low quality or anything before. I did have a look at that website as well, and it didn't have any traffic from about 2015, which kind of ties in with Panda. So potentially there's lots of different things that can be impacting this site, not just the content quality, but I would say have a look through, optimize the content, potentially remove that domain, redirect, have a look and see what's going on with that domain that you've got redirecting to your website, because yeah, it's got a lot of kind of very varied backlinks to it as well. Yeah, have a look there. Make sure that your author pages don't redirect to the home page, and actually build out proper profile pages and make sure that your content's unique. If you're writing it using LLMs, for example, make sure that you've got at least a human element to it, because again, that could be potentially impacting it as well, because we've seen it, the site skyrocketed until about August, and then this is just looking at Ahrefs, the site skyrocketed until August, and then it's just been slapped all in August, and then again in March.
Great, amazing. Joe, do you have any thoughts or anything in the chat?
Yeah, we have quite a few comments. So Preeti's mentioned that the website's content does seem a little bit too generic. Didn't really find anything unique about it. Yeah, and their contact page is just a Gmail address. Like we were saying before, we need to have this expertise, authority, and trust. It needs to be an actual proper company behind this, because it looks like it's just been put together quite quickly. And then another person saying that for this site, really, from a site query and clicking around, obviously it's just been a quick look. It looks like a mix of random SEO focused posts targeting random SEO queries with the usual like headline text, probably from PAAs. It feels like there's like a lot of irrelevant stuff on this site, and it's not really adding any value to the search. So there's not really a lot of useful content, it looks like there. Basically, maybe take a step back, this person's saying, and reconsider what you want to do with this site. What is the unique angle? What's really the value that it adds to the web for this particular website? We have another couple of comments. Trans talking about topic authority can be a good solution. Well, yeah, I think maybe in this case, it's really difficult to know what is the site about, because lots of different content here. We also see on here, Simon saying nothing on the site makes me want to visit in the future. It does look a bit haphazard. There's not really any hub or topic pages. It's just lists. Yeah, there's a lot of different things here. I think I mentioned at the beginning about obviously that there's nobody behind the scene. So it just looks like it was built just for the sake of maybe trying to rank. And it looks like some of these blog posts that I used to come across back in 2010 or so, where we'd have like people would write these blogs to try and get links or to try and improve rankings for other sites that they own. So it was like a sort of a family of sites. So I think really need to take it a step back, as one of our guests said, and take a step back and look and see what is the purpose of the site. What do you want to achieve? What is a unique angle that you want? Over to you, Mike.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody said. I think if this was my website, I would, if I'm honest, it wouldn't be my website. But if this was my website, I would focus on just trying to make it, just focus on making it better, really. And a starting point would be to think about, what is the website about? What's the purpose of it? And what do you want it to be famous for? And I would just look at just generally improving the quality of the overall website. I think I would probably look and see what else is ranking. And so, for instance, where you've lost traffic, maybe see who's gained that traffic and try and work out why they've gained it. But I agree with what everybody said, really. The About Us page, there's barely any information on it. In terms of the actual posts themselves, obviously you have a general topic, which is technology, but the individual posts that used to rank really well and get traffic, they're quite random in terms of the actual topics that they rank for. And then looking at those actual posts, I think, like Simon said, it's not the type of website that you think I have to bookmark this and come back to it, or even know what it's about. So I guess when your website is impacted, or I would say rather than it being impacted, I'd say just other people have gained, I would be thinking, why is that? And this is a really good opportunity to improve this website and almost start again with it. Yeah, sorry, that's probably not the answer they wanted. Probably just a quick fix, like, can I just change this while it all comes back? But yeah, I agree with what everybody said. It looks like the type of site that has just, it hasn't been around that long. And even you go on the homepage and the images that are being used are stock images, and they're quite pixelated. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just say, don't get despondent. Use it as an opportunity to do a fresh start, new clean slate. It's never too late. And then go back and think, okay, what do I want from this site, and aim towards that. Don't be rushed to actually rebuild this site. Think about what you want, the objectives, and then plan that accordingly. I also wanted to say a big welcome to some other people who have joined us as well. We have quite a big office hours today. We have Yusuf had joined us, Mary, Munyeni, Anna, we have Sylvia, Farhan, Tosin, Gatsi. So things is very busy today. I think we've got nearly 30 people here. So if you're enjoying the show now, when you watch it again, please click a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And those that are not watching live, you can join us live by signing up on the Good Signals website under SEO Office Hours. And you can also be a special guest and be on the show like our special guests. Back to you, Mike.
Great. Next question is, do you reckon Yoast SEO is worth paying for? I guess any kind of SEO plugins. Rosemary, you're smiling. What are your thoughts?
Okay, personally, I've not used the premium plan of Yoast, right? I can see that it offers a lot of features that theoretically should be better than the free version, right? I just feel whatever tool you choose to use, irrespective of used anything, it should be what gives you the result you want. You understand? What your audience will want, and the analytics, everything you want to do. So that's what I think in this case. So I will not say don't use the premium plan or use the premium plan. So that's a very tricky question there, but I will just say in summary, whatever all tools are good. That's my verdict. All tools are good.
Natalie, what about you?
I guess it's really up to what you want from it. Why are you buying the premium version, and what can it give you that the standard version doesn't give you? So are you looking to add in FAQ schema markup or custom markup or anything like that? Is it something, thinking about the opportunity cost? Is it going to cost you less time to do, or in terms of time and money, to get the premium rather than do it yourself, or potentially add on additional plugins? And again, obviously, if you're adding more plugins to your site, then it's got an impact on your page speed and core web vitals again. So it's weighing up all of those different options and then thinking, okay, is it going to give me the best bang for my buck, or should I go elsewhere? But yeah, I guess that's what I would say. Have a think about it. And there are other options as well. There's all-in-one SEO, there's rank math, there's additional ones as well that might offer the same. So it's worth comparing the different products. But if you like how Yoast works and it works for you and potentially your team, have a think. Yeah, weigh up the options and see what happens.
Great. Joe, any thoughts or anything in the chat?
Yeah, well, actually, Simon mentioned quite a good point. He says it's only really if you have WordPress, because it is a WordPress plugin. But if we look backwards, take a step back and think about different plugins, I think we just need to be careful with what we choose, because with any plugin or tool, we need to make sure that we're using it regularly to get the most out of it. And also with some plugins for WordPress, if you have too many plugins, I would say, not some, but if you have too many plugins and you're not using them, they can slow down the site. So before you think about buying a premium, just have a look and see, what do you already have? Why do you really need that next one? And then make that decision. And of course, we have some other questions in the chat or comments. I do quite like the "it depends" one. Thank you very much, John. It depends really on what you have or what your goals are. Preeti saying she has rank math and it's the free version, works actually quite good for her. And also the generate press theme works very well. Mohammed was saying. I was talking about if there's any functionalities that you really need and they're only available in the premium version, then sure, go ahead. But in most cases, the free versions of these plugins work okay. So thank you for that. So yeah, I think you need to weigh up really costs, time, and the performance of your site. And of course, if it is a WordPress site, as Simon mentioned.
Great, super. I'm a real sucker for buying into all the features of all these kind of plugins or apps or tools. I've just had a quick look. What is it? £8.25 a month. So it's not loads.
Okay, not so expensive.
Yeah, but I guess when it comes to any kind of apps or plugins, depending on which CMS you're using, I think using less and trying to use all the features of those that you invest time and money in. So if you're going to use an SEO plugin, like Natalie mentioned, there's quite a few of them. If it was me, I'd probably pay for the extra. John's just said there about you get the support. And yeah, usually you get access to things like their forums and extra features and things like that, which is useful if you're paying. And also these people are building things. It's quite nice to pay them for it. So yeah, I guess that, and that's also why they've created the free. Usually there's some sort of restriction, isn't there, with free versions of things. So maybe you can only handle certain types of redirects, or maybe it involves including their name or something like that somewhere on the site, which I don't really like. Anything else, Joe? Are you happy for me to keep going?
No, I think that's great. I think it's good. And also just to say, when people are building plugins or they're building a new version of a tool, whether it's, or if it's a Chrome browser extension, sometimes people do actually offer beta trials. So it's also quite nice to be part of that. But of course, in this particular case, this has already been out in the market.
Okay, gosh, I've accidentally done something. Okay, next question. Sorry, I'm just trying to, I've got a got to share with the next question. Here we go. I'm just going to add this into the chat. So this question is, we've encountered a critical warning concerning the stability of our live website. Please refer to this article, which I'll show in the chat in a second. The documentation advises disabling jQuery to prevent our website from breaking. However, several of the pages on our website depend on jQuery. Could you provide any more insight or suggestions on how to address the issue? And here's the screenshot here that they sent with the question. And they also had this article. Did anybody get a chance to have a look?
Yeah, I just wanted to say for this one, that when you're having it sounds it's quite a serious one. Here's the question in the chat, that I'd make sure that you have the dev team and the resources there to help you. This is not something that just one person should just carry on and do by themselves, because you're also in the middle of a web migration as well. I think that this really needs to, you need to have this dedicated time and resource to actually fix this issue. I haven't had experience with this one as per se, but I have found with some of my websites that I've worked on, if I haven't updated some themes, or if I haven't updated some plugins, even actually using old plugins, have actually damaged my site. So then I've had to spend time fixing that, but I got some help and resources to let me do that.
Right, Natalie or Rosemary, do you have any thoughts?
I would just say, talk with your dev team. Work alongside with your dev team. It's not something you handle on your own, not at all.
Yeah, it looks like from the documentation, it looks like the issue is from a theme for HubSpot. So they've usually got really good support. And if you're having this problem, chances are loads of other people are. It looks like it's from the screenshot I've shared, it looks like it's a potential problem in the future rather than now from the warning. So I think just contact there. Sorry, it doesn't sound like, it sounds like we're just passing the problem on, but this is more of a technical issue, and I'd suggest that you just speak to the theme. And that's a good example of where it is useful paying for those extra kind of features, because you tend to get support a lot faster. Great. Anything in the chat, Joe, or should we jump to the next one?
No, let's jump to the next one. And I don't think we're passing the buck. It's just that I think this is something that one person cannot do by themselves. I think it's important to share this with others that are responsible for the websites, not just the SEO team.
Yeah, perfect. I'm going to read off the screen because I can't read my handwriting for this one. Okay, so we are in the middle of a web migration. Our main website is based in Australia. However, we also have a .co.nz extension for New Zealand. I've spoken to our CTO, and it is currently set up as a URL redirect in SiteGround. Pending your input, our plan is to set this up in our CMS2 when we go live, simply as a redirect. Then when we're ready, we'll set up a new child domain for .co.nz to go live on its own and have its own bespoke content. Does this make sense to you? Who would like to kick off? Joe?
I just reposted that one there. Yeah, sorry, I haven't been on form on this one. I don't know. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Okay, so just to say the question again. So basically, it sounds like they've got a website, an Australian website, or that's mainly where their market is. And they also have a domain for New Zealand that at the moment just redirects to the current website. And the idea is that they're going through the process of a migration, and they're basically saying, should we just replicate what we've got in our new CMS or our new environment? And then eventually what we'll do is we'll build out the content on the New Zealand website. Does that make sense? And I think, to be honest, if you basically just redirect the domain as it is at the moment, then you're not going to gain or lose anything by moving it over and doing the exact same thing. It sounds like the Australian website is the one that you're focused on and is your main website. I think if it was me, if it is basically the same product or the same service, I think eventually what I would do is potentially replicate the site and then use href lang tags and stuff to basically explain which version is which, and rather than needing to create an entire new website with totally new information if it's the same thing. However, if your users are different, if the product or service is different, then I think it makes sense to eventually build out the New Zealand website. Unfortunately, we don't have a URL for it. I think that's the only information we can give really based on that. See, did you have any thoughts?
I've seen this happen quite a lot. So it's not something that's brand new or that's different. There's a lot of people that have done similar and not found it an issue. I guess it's whether they've got, from reading the question, I'm assuming that it will be the same main part of the domain and just be appended by the different TLD, so the co.nz or the com.au, etc. Yeah, I would just say be careful. Obviously, with everything, it's always worth being careful. But again, there's so many different ways that you can use that domain in the future anyway. And that make sure that you keep it, if you're going to keep it, make sure it's properly updated, and then build it out. Just build it out with your geo. It's a difficult one for some people to think, okay, there are so many people who will say, do we have a top level domain or do we have a subfolder? And again, obviously there might be some discussion internally about that too, but obviously owning the domains, at least owning those domains with the different appendages on them, is valuable for you anyway to protect your brand. And then moving forward, you can see what you can do elsewhere.
Great advice. Joe, is there anything in the chat?
Yeah, this is quite a lot. And we have Simon adding his 2 cents. Thank you, Simon. He said it should not be a problem as there will not be anything indexed for the New Zealand domain. Manura is talking about that your plan. Yeah, it makes sense. Initially setting up the .co.nz domain as a redirect ensures that New Zealand visitors are directed to the main Australian site without disruption. Later, creating a separate child domain with bespoke content for the co.nz extension will allow you to target that New Zealand market more effectively with a localized content, just to ensure that proper SEO practices during both phases to maintain search engine rankings are in place. Monty saying, yes, I agree with Nat. Oh, hi, Monty. And also, this is actually quite a good point. Simon saying, hopefully the redirect isn't parked on the Oz pages, it's just redirects. I would just say, I'm Australian, although I don't sound it, and I've lived in Australia. I would just say that sometimes people, they think, oh, I'll just have the Australian domain and I won't really worry about New Zealand for a while, but actually it's 2 different markets. And especially if you're targeting 2 different markets and you do have different content and obviously different shipping or different products, it would be worth having the New Zealand domain, but make sure that you do have different content, because I've also worked with sites where we've done migrations and we actually had nearly the same content and Google actually did not index that other site because it thought it was a copy. For example, a US site and then you have Canadian site. Sometimes the Canadian site might not be indexed because Google thinks that it's just a copy of the US site. So just make sure that you do have distinct content and different products, if applicable, when having your New Zealand site.
We've lost Rosemary, by the way. I don't know if anyone else noticed. Rosemary, I can't see Rosemary. Can you guys?
I can't see Rosemary yet. No.
Yeah, we'll carry on.
She'll be coming back.
The show must go on, as they say. Okay, next question. Up until now, my business partner and I have managed all our marketing efforts. As our company has grown, we've built a strong reputation in the field and developed unique in-house tools that has set us apart globally. For example, we've been invited to speak at events in several different countries in the past few months, attracted interest from investors, and even considered potential acquisitions. However, we've received feedback that our marketing needs improvement. They actually originally just wrote, our marketing sucks, but I changed that, but I quite like that. We are architects by trade, not marketeers. We currently maintain 6 websites, 1 for the UK, 2 each for Spanish and French markets, differentiating between design and build, and 1 dedicated to education. Despite this, we see very little visitor traffic or engagement on these sites. Our primary success has come through LinkedIn. We are hesitant to outsource content creation as we believe no one understands our work as well as we do. Given the situation, we're seeking your professional advice on how to do better marketing. What do you recommend we do? Any thoughts? Natalie, you're smiling.
Yeah. There's a lot to do. I would say you've been doing okay in terms of what you've started out with. You've got websites in multiple countries. I'm assuming they're all local language sites as well, and not just English language within different markets. Yeah, I would speak to a marketer and get their opinion, because it might be, for example, in certain niches, you might not need to, especially as you're very design led as in architecture, you don't need to be churning out lots and lots of blogs all the time. So what I would do is speak to an international marketing specialist. They will be able to review the sites that you already have and potentially other channels. So your social media, if you're doing any paid, whatever you're doing, and see where they can find, number one, what can be improved and what additional opportunities there are. So say, for example, you might have a localized website for Spain in Spanish. Are you attending events in Spain? Is your social media all in English? Are you visible for Spanish keywords, or is it just a copy of the English site but in Spanish? So is it localized? You could also speak to, there are lots of there's some SEO translation agencies out there who can take a look over the sites, and not just obviously be translated websites, but take a look at it from an SEO point of view as well, and see if number one, things make sense, and number two, that it's actually localized rather than a kind of direct translation, because obviously translation and localization are 2 completely different things. They do work in tandem. However, there can be issues in markets with all different kind of translation fails and things like that. But yeah, if you're looking at expanding internationally, speak to an international marketer, get them to have a look at things cross-channel. And also, yeah, have a think. If you're going to expand to different countries, what other presence do you have in those countries? Do you have offices? Do you have, obviously, you probably won't have multiple offices all over the world, because it's, from what I've read, it's potentially 2 of you. However, it's looking and seeing, okay, when we get certain social media posts out there, are we making sure that we've got them in localized languages as well? Are our sites targeting the right people in the right places? And obviously building your brands up in those additional countries as well, because anyone can build a site and put the content out there, but not everyone can get that site obviously ranking well or building a brand in a certain market. So think about someone that can help you with those localized markets, looking at the localization, not just of your website, but also of your overall marketing as well.
Amazing. Joe, do you have anything to add?
Well, actually, we have Rosemary back, so I'll pass on to Rosemary.
Yay.
Rosemary, do you know what we're talking about?
No.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was basically, somebody was an architect, and they said they're architects and they want to improve their marketing, but they've been doing it on themselves. I think the main thing here is that you can't be good at everything. You could be really great architects, but if you're growing the site and you want to have a bit more help with the marketing, but you're afraid to let go, then do a brief. Give the people that you're asking for help from, give them a brief of the tone of voice, have a call with them. But if people have said that your marketing is not the best, then speak to others and ask them to help you. Don't be afraid for asking for help.
Yeah, I'd say if there's only 2 of you, and I think the question said you've got 6 websites, that's quite a lot for 2 people to manage. I'm one of these people that I would prefer to have one really good website than several, but I get that there might be business reasons for having separate websites, but that would just be one of my things to make your life as easy as possible if you're not willing to hire other people to do or help with your marketing. And I agree with everything that Joe and Natalie said about trying to speak to somebody that specializes in international marketing. I think that's that. But it sounds like you're doing a really good job. And I would say one thing is don't be hard on yourself. Maybe somebody's basically said to them that their marketing sucks and they've said, we're architects by trade, not marketers. That's the best way round. At least you're not good at marketing, but bad at the job. So actually, I would try and, if you want to be the one that's in control of, say, content creation and what's going out, I would just simplify things where possible, and less is more, and everything you're doing, just try and do that well. And if it's not working, then drop it and focus on something else. But yeah, and the fact that you're not getting lots of traffic to the websites at the moment suggests that actually, if you did just have one really good website, you're not actually going to lose out there if it's more of a brochure website rather than something that people are actively going to and consuming. Joe, we've only got 2 minutes left.
Only 2 minutes. Yeah, I just wanted to say we had some interaction in the chat on this one. John just saying, just hire Nat. Great answer, Nat. Broad marketing too, Monty's saying. And yeah, as an international marketer will help you with market research, both on and offline, but assess your priorities really and your budget.
Just to chime in right at the end here, I just wanted to say, I would say double down on what's working for you. So obviously get a sense of what works for your markets, but they've already said LinkedIn is working for them, right? So it could, ideally their websites are used as like a digital brochure and they're sending people there like that. SEO might not be the thing that they need to invest a lot into. Maybe they're already doing okay just having those sites there, and double down on what's already working for them.
Great advice. Thank you very much. I've just added you in. Thank you so much. Lastly, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO? Rosemary, what are you most excited about?
AI. Very excited. Yes. I'm excited about how AI is changing the search landscape, particularly because I'm a pharmacist. I'm excited about how AI would help us as health practitioners and how useful it would be when we search certain queries, not the one that have been flying around on the internet, not that kind of jump off the bridge. You know, I'm longing to see AI help us get the result we deserve. You understand? Rather than carrying this big textbook everywhere, trying to source for information.
Great.
Yeah.
Natalie, what are you excited about at the moment in terms of SEO?
Do you know what? It's not just SEO, but I'm just excited about how the community is really sticking together at the moment. I think that's fantastic. There's so many great opportunities for people to connect and lots more obviously coming up, but I think it's a really great opportunity for the updates and everything else. I think over the last year, people have really stuck together.
Great. Joe, what are you most excited about? We've got, by the way, less than a minute.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nat. So I would say actually events. So I always say that, but this week was MozCon, looked amazing. Fantastic conference. Hopefully I can go there one day. And also next week on Thursdays, London Excel. Mike, you'll be there. So it looks like another great event. And I'm very excited to have such a big SEO office hour today. We have about 30 people dialing in to join us. This is our 28th SEO office hour, so more than half a year we're running that. So thank you to Mike for inviting me to be a co-host.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to our speakers. Joe, thank you to you. Thank you to everybody that has attended live and that's watching it afterwards. And thank you to those that submitted questions. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you this time next week. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.